Hi everyone, it's Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we're going to get started with the sow-along for our chilies, peppers and tomatoes that were in our December subscription box. Now, Boxing Day is a really good time to start these. It's a nice 5-minute job, nice and easy, and because they've got such a long growing season, if we can get them off to a good start now, it really will pay us back as we move on into the summer months. So let's get sowing. So, as you know, in our December subscription box, we had tomato yellow perfection, chili pepper habanero red, and pepper Zaro. Now, all three are really easy to sow and they all follow the exact same principle. So it's going to be a nice, easy one. So I am going to use this small tray. This is all we need for this task. And if you have a little lid, like a propagator lid, then that is perfect. If not, you can use a clear plastic bag just to create that kind of greenhouse effect as we get the seeds germinating. So we're going to fill our little pots with some nice organic compost. Just rub that between your fingers a little bit. Make sure it's nice and clump free. And we'll just firm it down slightly. Now, we're not going to sow the whole packet. I know it is so tempting, but obviously the light levels are still really low. We've only just had the shortest day a few days ago. So light levels are really low. It is still a risk to sow now. So something like the peppers, there were only a few seeds of the peppers in your December subscription box. So please do not sow all of them. Let's keep a few behind as a little kind of insurance policy, because we can keep sowing these until about sort of February, March time. But obviously, if we can get them sown now and if they grow very well, it really will pay us back and we'll get some earlier harvest. So do keep a few back, do keep sowing a few as we go along, and then you have that little insurance policy. If you want to wait a bit longer, that is absolutely fine as well. This is just a nice, fun little thing that we can do on Boxing Day. And it's not going to take too much time, it's not going to take too much of our attention, and it's just a nice, easy thing to do. So we are going to start off with our tomato yellow perfection. So as we can see from the sowing instructions, so they're all pretty much the same for all three varieties. So we're just going to do the exact same thing for all three. So we're going to bring our compost indoors to warm up before we sow our seeds. So if you haven't warmed your compost up yet, go and get some, bring it inside and just let that warm up. Bring it to room temperature for a few hours, because you do not want to be sowing your seeds into freezing cold compost that has been kept outside. We can sow our seeds into small pots, seed trays or modules. So we're obviously going to use these small pots. If you've got modules, absolutely fine, whatever you have. I'm going to fill it with compost, and then we're going to sow our seeds 2 to 5 millimeters deep. If sowing in trays, then give the seeds space to germinate and grow. So I'm just going to do 3 rows, one for the tomatoes, one for the peppers, and one for the chilies. I'm probably going to only sow about 5 of each. Apart from the peppers, I'm only going to do 2 peppers because there were only 5 pepper seeds in the packet. So what I am going to do is just pop mine onto the surface of the compost, and then I'll just do a light sprinkling of compost over the top. And that's how we're going to get our depth. So literally just going to take 5 tomato seeds. And I've just, you see, just a slight distance apart, so not too close, and that is just enough for them to sprout and have a little bit of room to grow. And then we'll do the Zaro pepper in the middle. So these are quite a rare variety. They've never ever seen these in the garden centre before, so we are in for a treat. So like I say, because there were only a few and it can be a bit risky with light levels at this time of year, I'm just going to sow 2 of these and then keep the rest back. And then if these don't work out, or if they don't grow very well or whatever, I can just re-sow. Whereas if I sow them all now and then something goes wrong, then I can't sow anymore. So do keep a few back. It is always a bit of a challenge at this time of year, because obviously these are seeds that do need heat. They need warmth to germinate. So if you have a heated propagator, that is ideal. You can obviously just keep your seed tray near a nice warm radiator, that is fine also. We will not be putting these seedlings out when they grow. We won't be putting them out until after the risk of frost has passed. So we're going to be looking at sort of May time before we even think about taking these out of the house, unless you have like a heated greenhouse or something. So these are going to be indoors, which is another reason why you don't want to sow the whole packet, because it's nice and easy now while you've got your small seed tray. But obviously as these grow and as they need potting on, that is just going to take up more and more room on your windowsills. So please do think ahead, think about that, think about the space you have available to you. And then the chili pepper habanero. So again, I'm going to do 5 of these because we did have a few of these seeds in the packet. So I've just spaced mine out a little bit more. So as we can see, we've got the tomatoes. I've just done 2 rows now, but there is 5 in total. I've got 2 of the peppers there, can you see? And then 5 of the habanero chilies. And then we're just going to cover those with a light layer of compost. So they don't need to be very deep at all. So about 2 to 5 millimeters deep. So literally just need a fine covering just to so that we can't see those. And it's just a really nice way, isn't it, to start the growing season off with something nice and quick and easy like this. There's no overwhelm because this is all we've got, but we're going to have it's just going to be so exciting. We'll have these on our window ledges starting to sprout. And yeah, we're going to feel super smug and organised. And then we're going to give them a light sprinkle of water. Now, if you've got a fine rose on your watering can, use that because it'll be more controlled. But I seem to have mislaid mine. So just a very light sprinkle. We don't want to over water. And that is it. So we've got our little labels on. It's always helpful if you write the date as well that you've sown your seeds. You always think that you will remember, but you probably won't. I never do anyway. And it's just nice to refer back to, and then you know which batch. So if anything goes wrong with these, you know when you started sowing each batch. And so I'm going to cover with my propagator lid. And then pop that somewhere nice and warm. Like I say, if you have a heated propagator, then they are brilliant and will just give a nice bottom heat and help those seeds to sprout. As soon as your seeds sprout though, you do need to remove the heat. So remove your tray from the propagator. They don't need to stay on once they've sprouted, because what will happen is the heat will just keep encouraging that growth, and then you'll end up with leggy seedlings, which is still always a risk. But with the light levels being low, we can get leggy seedlings, but there are ways to deal with that. But if we can help it, we would just like our seedlings to grow at a nice slow rate, and they will start developing that root system over the next few months, which is what we want, because a nice strong root system will result in nice strong healthy plants. And that is why we're starting early, so that we can get those earlier harvests then towards the end of the summer. If you don't have the propagator lid, please do use a clear plastic bag or like a little sandwich bag or something, and that will just create that greenhouse effect. So your tomato seedlings will usually germinate in around 14 days, and the chilies and the peppers, you're probably looking at about 7 to 21 days. So do not panic if you don't see any sign of germination for a couple of weeks. Like I say, light levels are really low, temperatures are cooler. We just want to keep these somewhere nice and warm. That is the most important thing at the moment. We don't need the light so much as soon as we plant them. We just need the warmth to spring them into action, and then once they sprout, we need to put them in the brightest place that we have. Again, if you have grow lights, brilliant. Don't panic if you don't though. Just put them somewhere on the brightest window ledge that you have, and that will do the trick as well. Main thing to remember is you have your seed tray in the house, so make sure, because your seed tray will have holes in the bottom, I'm sure, make sure you pop something to protect your furniture or windowsills, a little plate, a dish, just something so that the moisture, if the moisture comes through the bottom, you're not going to damage any paintwork or woodwork. So when your seedlings germinate, we're going to remove them from the heat, and we're also going to remove the lid to allow airflow to circulate, and that just helps prevent any mold buildup, keeps those seedlings nice and healthy. Then we're going to grow the seedlings on so that they develop their root system. We do want to keep them watered. We want to keep a close eye on them. We don't want to give them too much water, but we do not want the soil to dry out. And there's obviously, we know with central heating systems, the soil will dry out quite quickly. So do keep an eye on those. When your seedlings are about 2 to 3 inches tall and have developed some true leaves, then we can carefully prick them out and transplant into small pots. I will do another video when we get to that stage, just so that you can see how we do it. The principle's kind of the same for anything that we're pricking out, and there is, if you get there before I do, there is a video on how we prick out lettuces, which again, we'll just show you. I know it's not the same seeds, but it's the same principle. So follow that video. I will link that as well. That is about all there is to it, guys. Again, like I say, nice and easy. Such a fun thing to do on Boxing Day when you just need that few minutes escape from the craziness of Christmas Day. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I will keep updating this page as we go and as everything gets growing. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please do reach out and I will be happy to help. Happy sowing, guys!